Singapore today, a global powerhouse with world-class infrastructure, but what about the arts? You may have heard that in 1969, Singapore's founding Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, once said, "Poetry is a luxury we cannot afford." This perspective reflects a time when survival was the priority, not self-expression. But today we need to ask, does Singapore still view art as a luxury, or is there more to the story? Back in the 1960s, Singapore was far from the gleaming city we know today. People were struggling to make ends meet, living in poverty, with a country in its infancy. In those early days, the focus was on building an economy, not a cultural scene. Art? Well, it simply wasn't a priority. Survival came first. Lee Kuan Yew's remark wasn't just a dismissal of poetry. It reflected an entire mindset. At the time, the national focus was on pragmatic goals, creating jobs, building infrastructure, educating the population. The arts? They were seen as an expendable luxury, something that could wait until the economy was stable. Singapore's economic growth was based on a clear trade-off. Skills were more valuable than creative pursuits. But now, after decades of hard work, Singapore is no longer struggling for survival. Our economy is thriving, our people are better educated, and the standard of living has improved. So, has our view of the arts changed? Has art stopped being a luxury and started becoming a real part of our cultural identity? In recent years, something interesting has happened. Singapore has been pushing the arts to the forefront. With iconic venues like the Esplanade and the Art Science Museum, we've become a hub for world-class theater, concerts, and international performances. Singapore is changing the narrative. Arts and culture are becoming integral parts of our global identity. Yet there's still something missing. Take Crazy Rich Asians, for example. The movie was a global sensation, showcasing Singapore's high life and luxurious lifestyle. But let's be honest, how many of us actually identify with that image? Sure, Singapore is wealthy, but the true Singaporean story is more complex than just flashy parties and opulence. Even with all the growth, we still face a key issue. Singapore's art scene often feels imported. Our cultural identity has been shaped by global influences, but we're still struggling to fully define what makes us unique. The local arts community, musicians, writers, dancers, filmmakers, is small and still finding its voice. Many local artists are still trying to break through, competing against international productions that dominate the scene. But here's the twist. Art doesn't need to be an expensive, high-budget affair. It doesn't need to be perfect or world-class from the get-go. Art can emerge from everyday life, from the streets, from our own stories and struggles. We don't need validation or permission to create. It's not about the scale or the money. It's about sharing our experiences with sincerity. What if, instead of importing art, we started making art that reflects who we really are? Art created from our everyday lives, our challenges, and our victories. Not for the masses, not for instant fame, but for ourselves. And as we keep creating, something amazing happens. Our art becomes more refined, more authentic, and more uniquely Singaporean. So, is art a luxury for Singapore? Well, it doesn't have to be. The arts aren't just about economics, they're about identity, self-expression, and community. We need to create, not because we can afford it, but because it's a part of who we are. The more we create, the more we define what Singapore is. It's time for us to tell our own story in our own voice. And that's not a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. What do you think? Is art a luxury for Singapore? Drop a comment below and subscribe for more.